Okay, so now we are going to add some animation to your sub. The first thing it says is to make sure that we are in frame 1 of your animation, and we are. And we want to end on 100. Right now we're ending on 250, so we're going to change that to 100 and press enter. First of all, we're going to choose the propeller, and we're going to go to number pad 7, the top view, and we're going, sorry, not propeller, the periscope. Okay, so the periscope is now chosen. So what we're going to do is we are going to, let's see, notice, okay, up here, the rotation is set to 0, 0, 0, and that's what we want it to be set to. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hit I to insert a keyframe, and we're going to do a rotation keyframe. So we're going to do that. Notice how that turns yellow. And so what that is saying is at frame 1, we want the X, Y, and Z rotation to be all zeros. So now we're going to go to frame 100. The easiest way to do that is to hit these 2 double arrows down here with the line, and that will jump you automatically to the end. And then what we are going to do over here on our Z rotation is we are going to change that to 3600 degrees. So what that means in between frame 1 and frame 100 is that this is going to turn 3600 degrees, essentially rotating in a full circle 10 times. So to keep that keyframe, we need to hit insert, rotation again. So that was an I rotation. And when I go back to frame 1 and hit play, notice how my periscope right here is turning, and if you count it, it should be 10 times. Okay, so we are going to hit pause. And I think it's probably going to tell us to go back to frame 1. Okay, let's see, play the animation. All right. So we're going to go to the left side view now, Control 3, left side view. Now they want us to go to the, I'm going to press A to deselect that, and then I'm going to choose by left clicking on my rudder. Okay, so we are going to insert, so we're going to press I, and we're going to insert a rotation keyframe here. So I rotation. Now they say to go to frame 25, so I'm going to type that in, go to frame 25. On the Z rotation here, we're going to make sure that it is 90 degrees on the Z rotation, and it should have turned. Now you do need to make sure, I'm not sure whether I told you in the last video, if your rudder is kind of weird and it's kind of doing funny things, you might want to go over here while your rudder is chosen and say set origin and origin to geometry. That makes sure that your origin is right there in the middle of your rudder, so because it turns on that origin. And so if your origin is out in La La Land somewhere, it's going to look really funny. All right, so we have Z rotation. I don't think I've set a rotation keyframe yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Even if I have, it'll override it, and I know that it has when it turns yellow. And now we want to go to frame 75, and they would like us to do a Z rotation of negative 90 degrees, so it's just going to flip around. You're not going to notice that it's changed, but it has. It's kind of flipped itself to the other side. We're going to hit I, insert key rotation, or an insert keyframe of negative 90. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to go to frame 100, and we are going to change this back to, I believe it's 0. Yes, we're going to change the Z rotation back to 0. And insert I, rotation keyframe there. So you notice that we have keyframes because you have these little yellow lines. So I know I have a keyframe at 0, 25, 75, and 100. So when I go here and play it, now my periscope turns, and my rudder should turn back and forth just 180 degrees. Okay? All right, so the last thing that we need to do is I'm going to deselect that, and now I'm going to choose my rudder, propeller. I always call those the wrong things. All right, so now what we're going to do is, let's see, rudder. So the same thing like we did for the periscope, we're going to do the same thing for the rudder. Pretty easy. Make sure you're on frame 1. We're going to do an I rotation keyframe for frame 1. Then we're going to go to the last keyframe, 100, and we're going to change, I believe it's the Z rotation. Let me make sure. And Y rotation. I'm glad I checked. Y rotation of 3600. Okay, so we're going to insert a keyframe there of rotation, and we are going to now play it. Now all three things should move now that I'm back on frame 100. So the periscope is turning, the rudder is turning back and forth, and the propeller is also turning 3,600 degrees. Okay. All right, so now what they would like for us to do is now we're going to actually do some animating of the actual sub. So we want to go to Control 3. Whoops, let me make sure I'm in here. Control 3. Oh, I guess we're on the left side. I forgot that the thing doesn't show up in the background. Now we're going to go into our camera view. Okay, so to do that, we're going to hit 0. Now, for some reason, my camera view is really, really strange. So what I'm going to do, you can change that by hitting, I believe it's Control-Alt-0. Yes, Control-Alt-0. So I hold down Control, Alt, and 0. So now my camera is more aligned to my sub. Now I'm going to hit Control-Alt-Q. What that does is it divides my views into my top, my front, and my right view, and it gives me a camera view. Let's see. Select the submarine object in the front viewport. So right here, we're going to hit G, grab. Okay, so we're going to select the submarine and we're going to grab it. Actually, I think it's in the top view that we're going to grab it. Have I not parented this? Hold on. I don't think I'm using a different file. And so I don't think I've parented this like I did in the last video. So hold on. I am going to go parent it real quick. Okay, now I'm back. I have parented it, and I've actually did a little bit of work. So like I'm right clicking up here in the top and I'm grabbing it, and you can kind of play around with where you want. It's kind of fun to do, actually. So you kind of want your sub to kind of be in that camera view so that it's kind of centered. So once we've centered the sub, we're going to grab the submarine in the right side view. So right here, we're going to grab it, and all I'm doing is I'm right clicking over here in the right view, and then I am going to grab it so that the sub nose is just right inside the viewport right there. Okay, so we're going to make sure we're in frame 1, which I am not, but now I am. And I am going to insert a Lockrot scale. Okay, so that's right here. Lockrot scale is 3, 3, and 1. You can kind of see like location, rotation, and scale. All they kind of froze all of those like kind of placeholders essentially is what it is. And so we're combining them all into one location. So now we're going to go to frame 35. And it says in the right side view now, we are going to grab the sub again, and we are going to move it so that the sub is now inside our camera view. And we're going to hit I, and we're going to Lockrot scale that. Now we're going to go to frame 65, and we are going to have a Z rotation of 75 degrees, and it should turn kind of like that. And we need to insert a Lockrot scale there. And then we're going to go to frame 100. And we are going to grab the sub from the front viewport. And we're going to kind of move it away from, so it's going to kind of act like, yeah, there you go. You know what? I want that a little bit more. Let's move it a little bit more away. There we go. And set it down. And then insert, Lockrot scale. All right. So when I play this, let's see. I am going to hit 0. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and play this the way it is now, and then we'll go out of quad view. So it comes into view, it turns, and then goes away from the camera. That's exactly what I want. Beautiful. All right. So let's go ahead and pause that or escape or whatever you want to do. And we're going to hit Control-Alt-Q again. Make sure my cursor is in my viewport. To get out of camera view, you hit 0. Okay. And so now I am going to save it. So save as, I actually have it already saved. So go ahead and save it. I believe, I'm not sure what what page we are on, but notice how I have several files of where I stopped and the particular location. So I'm going to cancel out of that because this is already saved for me. And so now we're going to do some lighting. It says to go to frame 1, go to top view, so I believe that is 7. Yep, okay, we're going to scroll out, shift pan if you need to, and it says right around down here. So to put your 3D cursor right down there, we're going to hit shift A and we're going to add a Hemi lamp. Hemi lamp, there we go. So that adds some extra light to our thing. And so like if we do this now and we hit play, all I did was hit 0 for the camera. And so now when it goes to render, we'll have some extra light so that we'll be able to see that a little bit better. Okay, so now we're actually going to do some rendering here. So let's pause that. So now our rendering happens in this little camera property. So let's see, output panel. Okay, so it's all right down here. So where it says PNG, we don't want a PNG, we want an MPEG. So that is going to be, this is usually what you do when you want to make an animation. Oh, sorry, I want to make a lower quality animation too, so I forgot. So we're going to change the X to 320. We're going to change our Y to 240, and that is as big as our video is going to be, and that's plenty big for what we need. Okay, so MPEG 4, we're going to open up this encoding box, and we're going to change this from an MPEG 2 to an MPEG 4. And notice how in this output it says temporary right now. We don't want to save it in temporary. We want to go ahead and save it in your X drive. So go to X drive, find your X drive file. There's me, and I already have this saved right here. But I'm going to go ahead and I am going to do another one, Englade Yellow Sub, and I'm just going to call it 2. And I'm going to accept it. Okay, so those are usually the things. Change your size of your video, change your coding right here into MPEG, open up your encoding, change that to MPEG 4, and show where you want your output file to be. And once you've done those 4 things, what you're going to do is you're just going to hit the animation button, and it's going to do its little thing, and you'll know that it's finished when it's reached 100. I can zoom in on that too if I really want to.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so it looks like it has finished recording. I had to pause it a little bit. There was a recording that came on the override. So now it should be finished. The way that we check that is we are going to go to our X drive. Oops. And let's see if it is there. Mrs. E Blender. There's, yes, here it is. Yellow Sub. Did I call it 2? Oh yeah, there it is. And let's see what it looks like before we turn it in on Google Classroom. Let's see. Quality's not that great, but you know what? If we sacrifice quality, then it will render a lot faster and we'll be good to go. All right, there you go. There's your animation of your yellow sub. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next project. Bye.